Every month, every week, every day, every hour that passes convinces us, as if we didn't need convincing, that the only good government is a dead government. The only good politician is a dead politician. Away with all of them. They cannot be trusted. I'm now going to read out, identifying the criminals and the amounts they've paid back, proving that they know their own guilt. Phil Hope, Labour, 41,709, London flat fraud. Margaret Moran, Labour, 22,500, dry rot fraud. Elliot Morley, Labour, 16,000. Phantom mortgage fraud. Why are the police going the other way? Phantom mortgage fraud. Arrest Elliot Morley, please. Hazel Blears, Labour, 13,322. Capital gains tax fraud. Michael Gove, Conservative, £7,000 he's paid back for London flat fraud. Ronnie Campbell, Labour, paid back 6,200. Furniture fraud. Alan Duncan, Conservative, he's paid back 5,000 of his own gardening fraud. Lady Sylvia Herman, Ulster Unionist Party, has paid back 2,700 for her London flat fraud. Mark Lazarowicz, Labour, £2,675 for his London flat fraud. Douglas Hogg,
smoke cleaning fraud.
Douglas Hogg, Conservative, has paid back 2,200 for his moat clearing fraud.
Shame on you!
One ought to be allowed to clear one's moat at taxpayers' expense. Oliver Letwin, wasn't he the Shadow Chancellor? Conservative, £2,000 for his tennis court fraud. He thinks his tennis court ought to be purchased and then maintained at your expense. He needs a tennis court to do his parliamentary work, apparently. Sir Ming Campbell, Liberal, 1,490 for his interior design fraud. Shane Malik, New Labour, £1,050. He makes a charity donation and expects the money back from the taxpayer, and also he's got, of course, his second home fraud. Julia Goldsworthy, Liberal, Lib Dem, £1,005 for buying a rocking chair. That's the rocking chair fraud. David Cameron himself, leading the Conservative Party, £680 he's given back, admitting his own guilt, but trimming his wisteria on his house. He thinks that should be done at taxpayers' expense. How on earth is it that he's not being arrested? How is it he's still regarded as the leader of the Conservative Party? He ought to be under arrest.
Wisteria smells sweet, but David Cameron stinks!
He ought to be taken to the police station. George Osborne, Conservative, £440 for chauffeur fraud. He gets his chauffeurs paid for at taxpayers' expense. Stuart Jackson, Conservative, £304. Swimming pool fraud. Chris Hume, Liberal Democrat, £119 for Corby trouser press fraud.
You couldn't make this up!
David Willits, Conservative, £115. Isn't he Minister for Technological Skills or something? He's light bulb fraud. He gets people in to change light bulbs for him. Nick Clegg, Liberal Democrat. Isn't he a leader, Liberal Democrat? £80 for international phone calls fraud. Lembit Opie, Liberal Democrats, £40 for council tax fraud. He thinks his council tax shouldn't have to be paid by himself. We should pay his council tax.
He's a very cheeky man.
Cheryl Gillan, Conservative, £4.50. She thinks her dog food should be paid for by you. She puts her dog's food, dog food, on the account for you taxpayers to pay. We think it's a disgrace, it's a scandal. We've seen here the interested in arresting these criminals. Of course, it's a bit difficult for them. These politicians are their paymasters after all. So what we've done here, agents of the government of the dead, those of us who believe, in fact, that the only good government is a dead government, you've got to be dead before we can possibly trust you. If you're alive, you're obviously subject to the temptations of the flesh. You will be corrupt. Those of us who believe this obvious truth, that the only good politician is a dead politician, have come along to help the police out. We've come along here equipped with handcuffs. We are submitting modest expense claims for the expense of the handcuffs. We come along here to make citizens' arrests. Citizens' arrests are a part of English law. It's a long-established custom and practice that when you can identify a criminal, these criminals of course have identified themselves, we are entitled to come along with our handcuffs and make citizens' arrests. So this will now be done. As soon as anyone, can anyone please look out for these people? Can you all look out please, everybody?
This is what Elliot Morley looks like.
If anyone sees Phil Hope, can you please identify him? Anyone seen Margaret Moran turning up for work? She should be under arrest. Anyone seen Elliot Morley? Anyone seen Elliot Morley? Elliot Morley, here we are, that's Elliot Morley. If you see him trying to get to work, can you please help us arrest him? He needs to be arrested.
He's ugly, he's smug, and he's a fraudster!
Hazel Blears, where's Hazel Blears? Can we show a picture of Hazel Blears, please? Hazel Blears, here's Hazel Blears.
Notice how many of these corrupt MPs are
Hazel Blears.
MPs.
Anyone sees Hazel Blears? If you see her turning up for work, there she is. Can you help us arrest her, please, for capital gains tax fraud to the tune of 13,332. She's admitted her guilt by paying back the money. Why is it that they think that by paying back the money, that somehow exempts them? That means that the police shouldn't arrest them. You can't just pay back the money. You have to pay for the crime itself. You should be arrested. They should be arrested by admitting their guilt. They've admitted their guilt. There can't be any question about it. The police should immediately arrest them. We're obviously not going to do it, so we've come here equipped with handcuffs to do the job for them.
No absolution! We want prosecution!
Okay, we better go. It could be that the MPs aren't coming across this particular pedestrian crossing. Maybe we need to move to the gate. Just a little bit down. The government of the dead. I can't actually be a member of the government because although I'm getting on a bit, I'm not dead yet. You've got to be dead to be a part of the government, because only when you're dead will we trust you. Only when you're dead will we be convinced that you're not subject to temptations, to the pleasures of the flesh, to corruption, financial incentives, all kinds of other forms of corruption. Once you're dead, we might trust you. The only good government, quite evidently,
is a dead government!
So we've come here to make arrests of these all too living, all too corruptible politicians who, after their over-long holiday, obviously intend to slink into this building where they probably feel they're a bit safer. As I understand it, you police officers aren't even allowed in that building. Well, how come? I've been working at a college for many years, and the police wander in and out the building at pleasure. Why is this building something immune from the long arm of the law? You should be able to go in there and arrest, first of all identify, then detain, and then remove and put in a police van any criminals you find in there. Even better, let's stop them getting in. Let's make citizens arrest here if the police won't do it. What we've decided to do, because the police seem somewhat reluctant to arrest their own paymasters, is come along with handcuffs and to exercise our right as citizens to make citizens arrests of known criminals, MPs who've identified themselves as criminals by paying back the money they've stolen from the taxpayer. Once we've made these arrests, of course, we'll hand over the criminals to the police here. Having said that, we will of course want to make sure that the police don't straight away let them go. We want them to take them to the nearest police station, make sure they're charged and come to court.
And preferably assaulted in the cells.